Hello everyone. The collective of humanity is going through a cleanse. And simultaneously the earth is as well. If you look around where there once was smog in different places all over the world, it is now clear. It's amazing. The dark night of the soul is a purging process that calls us to release all that is unhealed or unnecessary. It is releasing all that is in the way of our highest good. And sometimes we can't understand. It's a very hard, deep, and dark process. Many are suffering around the world, and it's not just because of COVID-19. 2020 is a collective release of deep-rooted old energy that is no longer sustainable in this time. We are being given an opportunity to allow this process to take place in order to fast track us to see the light of this tunnel that we are in. No matter where you're at in your life, there's something that you must see. Suffering is not essential for awakening, but it does show us something. It shows us what we don't want. And if we continue as we are, we only attract more suffering. However, what is essential is a developed ego to awaken from. And so because of the nature of the ego, suffering happens to us. We suffer because of the sense of a separate self-identity, of being isolated. Like being an isolated individual entity in a somewhat threatening world. Ego is what sends us into survival mode. The divisive nature of the mind and the story most people carry around with them in their heads create this suffering. And often, ego is quite attached to suffering. At least it would rather have the story than live in the truly unknown. It holds on to things because it fears change. Your ego doesn't want you to let go. Yet the unknown is the reality. Awakening requires we live deeply in the present moment with the mind of not knowing here, which is now, and not lost in past and future memory and imagining. We have to be present. We have to be mindful of the present and what we are creating in the present through our thoughts. Because the present moment, however, is known. It is always and ever right here, right now. When we have had enough of the suffering self and the story of the unhappy me, we can become willing to deeply surrender to what is and to deeply inquire as to the nature of the self. Awakening can only be painful where there is resistance. In presence, there is no suffering. What pulls us from presence and into suffering as some story, judgment, or belief will not bring suffering. When the root of unhappiness is discovered as the belief in the separate self-identity, and this begins to crumble or fall away completely, it is the end of all unnecessary suffering. Thoughts are not believed. Thoughts that are not believed are harmless. We can just witness them without being pulled in by them. Another possible source of suffering in the awakening process is suppressed emotions that arise. They may seem to come from nowhere, and sometimes have a story attached, but other times not. There is an emptying out of suppressed feelings which arises into consciousness for healing and release. And this is an important part of the process. Once they have been fully accepted in this way, they have no more power and are healed forever. Just think of this. Childbirth is often painful and entails a degree of suffering, but this is quickly forgotten in the bliss and happiness of a new being in our arms. Awakening is similar in some ways. It is birthing your true self and requires a death of all that you previously thought yourself to be. This is an ending of times. An ending of an old cycle. We are still here. And this is our chance to bring a new life, bring a new reality, change things within ourselves, which triggers everything around us. It's like a domino effect. It collectively, we are raising in consciousness. And first, this is what we have to go through. Your soul, honestly, is guiding you to where you need to be. Just always trust in this process. You will get through it. This process is called death and rebirth. You are awakening to the real you, which is creating a new you. You are the creator, so raise your vibration to optimize your experience. Thank you, everyone. I am so grateful to help you. Just appreciate the ones you love. I love you all. Have a great day.